I never thought revenge would taste like aged ribeye and betrayal. But there I was, fork in hand, watching my father's face crumple as the waiter approached with the leather folder. "Your total comes to $4,200, sir," the kids said, all crisp uniform and oblivious cheer. My mother, ever the ice queen, leaned in to whisper something cutting about my wasted potential, but I cut her off with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Parents called me a failure at dinner. Then I paid the $4,200 bill with a card they never knew existed. It wasn't just about the money. That black Amex, gleaming like a loaded gun under the chandelier light, was forged from the ashes of the life they burned down around me. 5 years ago, I'd confessed to a crime that wasn't mine, embezzlement from Dad's firm, the kind that could have sunk the family empire. I did it for Ethan, my golden boy brother, the one they always bet on. He was the heir, the charmer with the Ivy League grin, and I was the quiet fixer, the girl who mopped up messes without a thank you. That night in the restaurant, as the receipt fluttered to the table like a white flag of surrender, I saw the first crack in their perfect facade. Ethan's eyes darted to mine, a flicker of panic beneath his practiced nonchalance. Good. Let the games begin. But revenge isn't a sprint, it's a slow poison, sipped neat in the dead of night. I'd spent those 5 years in a haze of quiet fury, rebuilding from the ground up while they partied on, oblivious to the ghost I'd become. Prison had been my unwanted education, federal time for white-collar sins, in a women's facility upstate that smelled like bleach and broken dreams. I learned coding in the library, networked with cons who knew more about laundering money than any suit on Wall Street. By release, I had a ghost LLC, offshore accounts siphoned from the scraps of Dad's negligence, suits I'd quietly won pro bono. Madison Hale. Failure no more. Madison Hale. The shadow with teeth. The dinner had been their idea. A reconciliation. Ambush after I ghosted their holiday cards. Mom texted me coordinates to Delmonico's, the old family haunt, with a string of heart emojis that reeked of guilt. "We miss you, Mads. Let's bury the hatchet." Bury it. All right, preferably in their backs. I showed up in a thrift store sheath dress that hugged my post-prison frame, lean and lethal, hair pulled back like a loaded spring. Ethan was there, of course, with his fiancée du jour, a Botoxed blonde named Tiffany, who giggled at everything he said. Dad. Silver-haired and paunchy. Nursed a scotch, Mom. Still turning heads at 60. Picked at her salad like it offended her. The meal started civil small talk about the firm, Ethan's latest merger, Tiffany's influencer gig hawking essential oils. Then the wine flowed, loosening tongues. "Madison. Honey," Dad slurred, forking into his porterhouse. "You could have been something if you hadn't thrown it all away. Thrown it away." As if I hadn't shielded their precious son from the fallout of his greed. Ethan had skimmed client funds for coke-fueled weekends in the Hamptons, left a trail sloppy enough to indict a toddler. I'd found the ledgers, confronted him in our brownstone's basement, tears streaming as he begged. "Please, Mads. You're the smart one. They'll believe you over me." And like the idiot loyalist I was, I believed in family. I forged the confession, pinned it on my gambling debts, and watched them disown me from the courtroom steps. "You were always so erratic," Mom chimed in, her voice a velvet knife. "That phase with the art school, the boyfriends, we tried. But you just spiraled. Erratic. That's what they called it when I dared to dream outside their blueprint." The spiral was theirs. A vortex of expectations that crushed anyone who didn't fit. Tiffany tittered again, oblivious, while Ethan avoided my gaze, swirling his Cabernet like it held answers. The entrees arrived, seared scallops for me, because fuck their judgments, and that's when the hook sank in. I let them pile on. The litany of failures, dropped internships, ungrateful after they paid my tuition, the embarrassment of my trial splashed across the post. Each word a pebble in my sling. Then the bill. Dad reached for it, ever the patriarch, but I snatched the folder first. "I've got this," I said, voice steady as a surgeon's hand. Their eyes widened, polite confusion masking the undercurrent of offense. A daughter paying? Unheard of. I slid the card across the table, the platinum edge catching the light like a scalpel. The waiter processed it, returned with the slip, and I signed with a flourish, Madison Hale Vanguard. Vanguard, the shadow corp I'd built, named for the pioneers who claimed what wasn't theirs. Dad's jaw slackened, Mom's fork hovered midair. "Where did you?" She trailed off, the question dying in her throat. Ethan knew. His knuckles whitened around his glass. "Nice trick, sis," he muttered, forcing a laugh that fooled no one. Tiffany blinked, all porcelain confusion. "Wait, you have a black card? Like, for real?" I met his eyes then, the brother who'd sold me out for a trust fund high. "Family perks," I replied, pocketing the receipt. "You taught me well." The air thickened, charged like the storm rumbling outside. As we spilled onto the sidewalk, umbrellas blooming like black flowers, I felt the first thrill of the hunt. They thought this was reconciliation. I knew it was war. But wars need battlegrounds, and mine was mapped in the marrow of our shared blood. Back in my one-bedroom in Bushwick, rented under a pseudonym, walls papered with printouts of Ethan's digital footprints, I uncorked a bottle of the same Cabernet and plotted. The firm, Hale and Associates, was their crown jewel, corporate law, defending the indefensible for oil barons and tech bros. Dad's legacy, Ethan's playground. I'd clawed my way into freelance cyber consulting post-release, specializing in ethical hacks for nonprofits. But ethics were flexible, and so was my moral compass. A quick dive into the dark web forums I'd bookmarked in prison yielded a contact. Lena, a Ukrainian expat with fingers like spider silk on keyboards. "You want dirt on Brother Dear?" She'd emailed back, her English fractured but fierce. "I dig. You pay Bitcoin." The dirt came in waves. Ethan's not-so-clean mergers? Bribes funneled through shell companies in the Caymans. His fiancée? A front for laundering her daddy's Ponzi proceeds. And Dad, the patriarch had skeletons too. Buried under NDAs from the 90s, sexual harassment suits settled quietly. A partner's suicide hushed with payoffs. Mom knew. Of course, her charity galas were just mixers for the elite to swap alibis. I scrolled through the dossiers till dawn, the city humming below my window like a co-conspirator. This wasn't just revenge, it was excavation, unearthing the rot they'd planted in me. First strike, anonymous tips to the SEC, timed for maximum chaos. Ethan's merger imploded mid-negotiation. Headlines screaming, "Hail heir in bribery probe." He called me the next day, voice cracking over the line. "Mads. What the hell? You gotta help me out here." Help. The word tasted like ash. "Like you helped me in court?" I shot back, feigning surprise. "Ethan, I'm just a failure scraping by. How could I? He sputtered, pivoted to charm. Come on. Blood's thicker, but I hung up, heart pounding with the sweet sting of inversion. Now he knew isolation, the kind I'd worn like a second skin. Mom and Dad summoned me to the brownstone that weekend, the same marble-floored mausoleum where I'd grown up reciting Latin conjugations for their approval. The air smelled of lavender and lies, doormen nodding like sentinels. Madison, Dad boomed from his leather armchair. Newspaper folded to the damning article. This family is under attack. We need you. Need. After 5 years of radio silence, save for the occasional pity check deposited to my commissary account. Mom hovered, martini in hand, eyes glassy. You're the only one we trust with. Discretion. Discretion. Code for cover our asses again. They laid it out. Ethan's mess could tank the firm, expose old wounds. I was to consult, hack back, plant deniability, play the loyal daughter one more time. The irony coiled in my gut like barbed wire. I nodded, all wide-eyed compliance, even as I mirrored their server, slipping a thumb drive into my purse. That night, in a midtown coffee shop buzzing with night shift coders, I uploaded their evidence, falsified logs that would, with a few tweaks, lead straight to Ethan's doorstep. Twist the knife slow. Madison. Make them bleed doubt. Ethan cornered me at a family brunch the following Sunday. Neutral ground at some overpriced bistro in Soho. Tiffany was absent. Flu, he claimed, but I smelled breakup on the wind. He looked haggard, stubble shadowing that chiseled jaw. Tie askew like a noose half-tied. You're doing this, aren't you? He hissed over Eggs Benedict, voice low to dodge the brunching millennials nearby. I sipped my mimosa, bubbles fizzing like suppressed laughter. Doing what, bro? Surviving. He leaned in, breath hot with desperation. The tips. The leaks. It's you. I know it. The admission hung there. A guillotine blade paused mid-fall. Part of me wanted to confess, to shatter the illusion and watch him crumble. But revenge is theater, and I was the star. If it is, I murmured, tracing the rim of my glass. What then? You gonna confess for real this time? Take the hit like a man? His face twisted, rage, guilt. That old sibling rivalry flaring like dry tinder. You were always jealous. The favorite? Please. Dad saw through your bullshit from day one. Jealous. The word I'd whispered to myself in my cell. A mantra to dull the pain. Now it was his shield, flimsy as tissue. We parted with barbed pleasantries. But the seed was planted. Ethan started digging, the paranoia I gifted him turning inward. Late-night voicemails. Mads. If you don't stop, I'll tell them everything. About the confession. How you covered for me. As if I cared. The truth was my ace. Buried deep. But he didn't know about Lena's latest haul, a video. Grainy but damning. Of him and a cartel fixer in a Vegas suite. Cash exchanged for consulting. I'd hold that till the crescendo. Meanwhile, the firm frayed at the edges. Dad's partners jumped ship. Whispers of toxic leadership echoing in boardrooms. Mom threw a gala to rally the troops. Black tie at the Met. Diamonds winking like false stars. I crashed it, uninvited, in a borrowed gown that screamed old money. Heads turned as I glided through, champagne flute in hand, Ethan's eyes tracking me like a hawk scenting blood. Madison, Mom cooed, air kissing my cheeks. You clean up nice. Join us at the table. The table, power players, senators' wives, the vultures circling Hale and associates. I played the part, witty banter, feigned sympathy for the troubles. But under the table, my heel ground into Ethan's toe. A private promise. Later, on the balcony overlooking Central Park, fog rolling in like a shroud, he grabbed my arm. Bruise-worthy grip. But I didn't flinch. Stop this, he growled, wine on his breath. You're destroying us.
Us.
As if I were included. You destroyed me first, I whispered, yanking free. Welcome to the ruins, Ethan. That night, the twist-eyed engineer dropped a whistleblower article in the Times. Anonymous sources spilling on generational fraud at Hale. Dad's harassment claims resurfaced, twisted with fresh allegations. The stock plummeted, calls flooded from clients bailing. Mom left a voicemail. Voice breaking for the first time in my memory. Come home, Madison. We need to talk. Really talk. Home. The word mocked me as I packed my go bag, the city lights blurring through tears I refused to shed. The confrontation brewed in the brownstone study, oak paneled like a confessional. They were all there, Dad pacing, Mom perched on the settee, Ethan slouched in defeat. I entered like a verdict, door clicking shut behind me. You wanted discretion, I said, tossing the thumb drive onto the desk. It skittered like a die. Here it is. Dad snatched it, plugging it into his laptop. Face draining as files bloomed. Ledgers. Emails. The Vegas tape cued like a hangman's noose. What is this? He thundered. But his eyes betrayed the dread. Ethan lunged for the machine. It's her. She's framing. I cut him off with a laugh, sharp as shattered glass. Framing?
No. Daddy.
This is truth. The kind you buried when you let your daughter rot for your son's sins. The room froze. Air sucked vacuum tight. Mom's hand flew to her throat, pearls clicking. What are you saying? I turned to her, the woman who taught me poise over pity. I'm saying I confessed to Ethan's theft. 5 years.
Mom.
For family. Ethan bolted upright, betrayal flipping to accusation. You think you're the victim? I was young. Stupid. You volunteered. Volunteered. As if loyalty were a choice, not a chain. Dad's face cycled through denial to dawning horror. Madison. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you? The question ignited the powder keg. Because you never listened. I was the spare, the fixer, the failure you labeled before I even fell. The argument erupted, voices overlapping in a cacophony of justifications. Mom wept. We thought you were lost, a half-truth laced with abandonment. Ethan snarled. This revenge? It's petty. You're no better than me.
Petty.
The word stung, forcing a mirror to my soul.
Was I?
Siphoning their peace. Mirroring their sins, did that make me the monster, or just the echo?
Dad.
Ever the strategist. Proposed a deal. We fix this together. Plead it out. Keep the firm afloat. For the name. The name.
Hale.
A curse I'd shed like snakeskin. But the offer hung, tempting with normalcy, the brunch invites, the trust fund thaw. I wavered, the room spinning with what-ifs. Then the door burst open, cops, badges flashing, warrants waving. My anonymous call, timed to perfection. Madison Hale? The lead detective barked. Not them.
Me.
Lena's hack had backfired, or had I miscalculated?
No.
Wait, the twist clawed free. Ethan's doing. In his paranoia, he'd flipped the script, planting evidence on my Vanguard servers during our consult. A counter-hack. Sloppy, but sufficient. She's the leak, he panted to the officers, pointing like Judas. Betrayals echo. Round 2. They cuff me rough, the cold steel biting like irony. Mom screamed. Dad blustered. Ethan met my eyes, triumph laced with regret. As they marched me out, rain slicking the steps, I saw the fracture complete, a family splintered. No victors, just survivors in the wreckage. But in the squad car, bouncing over potholes, a final spark. My phone slipped into evidence, held the kill switch, a dead man's upload, triggered by arrest. By morning, the full truth would bloom online. Ethan's confession video, Dad's settlements, Mom's complicity. Not framed, but freed. The city blurred past, neon veins pulsing. Was it justice or just another layer of the lie? Readers,
Juries of the mind, you decide.
as for me, Madison Hale no more. I smiled into the dark. Revenge wasn't sweet. It was necessary. And in America's grand, flawed theater, that's as close to redemption as it gets. Wait, no. That wasn't the end. The cell door clanged shut on my second stint, this one smelling less of bleach and more of stale coffee from the precinct holding tank. But I'd planned for contingencies, layered my digital fortress with fail-safes even Lena envied. As the upload cascaded across servers in Estonia and encrypted drops on Reddit's underbelly, the headlines shifted like tectonic plates. Hale empire crumbles, Son's cartel ties expose. Ethan's face, pixelated in that Vegas room, became the internet's piñata memes. Threads, talking heads on CNN dissecting the rot of white-collar royalty. From my orange jumpsuit perch, I watched it unfold on the communal TV, volume low to drown out the snorers. Fellow detainees hooted, "Girl, you famous," as if notoriety were a balm for the bars. But inside, the churn, triumph soured by the what-ifs. Had I pushed too far? Ethan's counterpunch landed because I'd underestimated his cunning. That snake oil charm masking a predator's instinct. Family, after all, shares DNA, mine for strategy, his for survival at any cost. Bail hearing came swift, greased by a public defender who'd cut her teeth on Innocence Project cases. MS. Hale, she whispered in the courthouse hallway, manila folder thick with printouts. Your brother's spilling to save his skin. Says you masterminded the whole leak as payback. Payback. The word echoed, a boomerang I'd thrown myself. But she slid me a burner phone. Pro bono gift, eyes twinkling. Contacts, a reporter from ProPublica, hungry for the family angle, and a fixer in Albany with governor ties. Play your cards right. You walk. I did. The interview aired prime time me, composed in a borrowed blazer. No makeup to hide the jail pallor. I took the fall once for love of blood, I told the camera, voice steady as the Hudson. This time, I rise for truth. Soundbite gold. Controversial enough to split Twitter into camps. Justice for Madison versus Hale family victim. Feminists rallied, painting me the ultimate sister scorned. Conservatives decried the feminist witch hunt on legacy. No one clean. Everyone complicit, the gray-eyed craved. Ethan cracked first. From his own cell, Riker's. Fittingly, he penned a confessional op-ed in the Post, ghosted by some spin doctor. My sister's shadow, how loyalty became lies. Bullshit artistry. Framing himself as the reformed prodigal. Me the vengeful harpy. But the comment section erupted. Dude, you let her do 5 years? Rot. The tide turned, his fiancée bailing with a tearful IG story about toxic masculinity. Mom visited me next. Through plexiglass at the visitation room. Her Chanel suit wilted like her resolve. He's ruining us all, she sobbed, smudging the receiver. Come back. Madison. Testify against him. Save the family.
Save.
The plea twisted. A callback to my original sin. I pressed the phone closer, studying the lines etching her face, crow's feet from squinting at betrayals. Family died when you let them cuff me.
Mom.
This is salvage. If anything. She recoiled, then softened. The manipulator's pivot. Your father. He's drinking again. The firm's in receivership. We need you.
Need.
Again. But this time, I saw the hook, not for them, but for me. Leverage. Dad's turn was a spectacle, private jet to the detention center. Slumming it in khakis and a polo that screamed casual power play. No plexiglass, his lawyer pulled strings for a conference room. All faux wood and folding chairs. He looked smaller, the paunch sagging, eyes bloodshot. Madison, he started. No preamble. I knew. About the confession. Ethan told me months after. The admission landed like a gut punch. Stealing breath. Knew, and did nothing. He shrugged. A gesture so American, rugged individualism masking cowardice. What could I do? Ruin 2 kids? The firm was everything. Everything. The word encapsulated their gospel. Legacy over love. Empire over empathy. I leaned forward, chains rattling softly. So you let me rot. For the brand. His jaw worked, pride warring with regret. I sent money.
Kept tabs.
Thought you'd bounce back. Bounce back. Like prison was a bad semester abroad. But the kicker. Ethan's pushing a deal. Immunity if he fingers you as the cartel link. Says you planted the video. Planted. The lie so bold it bordered genius. My brother. Flipping faces faster than a Vegas dealer. Rage boiled. But I banked it. Channeling the chill I'd honed in solitary. Let him try. Truth's a stubborn bitch. We dickered then, him offering restitution. A fresh start at the firm under new management. Me countering with conditions. Full exoneration. Public apology. Ethan's disinheritance. He balked at the last. Blood's blood, but I saw the crack. Or I walk into that hearing and spill every NDA you ever signed. Including Aunt Lydia's accident. His eyes widened. Aunt Lydia. The partner who'd fallen downstairs after threatening exposure. Fiction? Maybe. But doubt is a sharper blade. The hearing was a circus. Paparazzi swarming the steps. Protesters waving signs. Free Madison. Jail the Hales. My public defender. Now lead counsel with media savvy. Paraded witnesses. Ex-cons I'd mentored in coding classes. Vouching for my reform, a forensic accountant dismantling Ethan's planted evidence as amateur hour. Then Ethan took the stand. Suit tailored. Hair pomaded. The prodigal remade. She hated me, he testified. Voice quavering for the cameras. Jealous of my success. Fabricated it all for revenge. The gallery murmured. Mom dabbed tears in the front row. My cross was surgical. Ethan, I said, standing tall despite the cuffs. You remember the basement? That night with the ledgers. He froze. Adam's apple bobbing. What basement? Where I begged you to confess. Where you promised to make it right. The courtroom hushed. The seed of doubt sprouting. Jurors leaned in. Faces a mosaic of skepticism and sympathy. No smoking gun. But the vibe shifted. America loves a redemption arc. But hates a weasel. The judge recessed. But the real verdict dropped online. Leaked emails. Ethan's to his fixer. Bury her deeper. Chaos. His deal evaporated. Prosecutors flipped to me as cooperating witness. Bail granted. Ankle monitor, be damned. I stepped into sunlight. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire. Mom's hug a limp afterthought. Dad nodded from the limo. A truce unspoken.
Ethan?
Transferred to isolation. His flip failing spectacularly. But victory's aftertaste is bitter. Back in Bushwick. Monitor beeping like a heartbeat. I fielded calls. Book deals. TED Talks on sibling sabotage. Lena emailed from Kiev. You win. But at what cost? The question gnawed. Nights. I dreamed of the brownstone not as prison, but possibility. Could I rebuild? Or was I too scarred? The betrayer in my own narrative? The gala invite arrived via courier. Mom's script. One last chance. Foreclosure. Closure. The word dangled. Bait on a line. I almost binned it. But curiosity, or masochism, won.
Demit again.
But subdued. No A-listers. Just the diehards nursing Chardonnays. Dad cornered me by the Egyptian wing. Mummy's staring judgment. He's pleading, he said. Voice gruff. 15 years. Minimum. Says to tell you. Sorry.
Sorry.
A currency devalued by overuse. Mom joined. Arm linked in mine. The trio a fractured freeze. We were wrong, she admitted. Eyes on the sarcophagi.
About you.
About everything.
Wrong.
The concession unlocked something, a sob. Hot and unbidden. We stood there, artifacts of our own making, as the city thrummed beyond. No apologies from Ethan. No fairy tale mend. But in that hush, I chose, not forgiveness, but forward. The firm, I'd gut it. Rebuild green, ethical audits. Pro bono core. Madison Hale. Phoenix or fool. The twist lingered.
Though.
In a late-night parcel, Ethan's letter from lockup. Scrawled in pencil. You think you won? I let you. The real secret. The one you bore? It wasn't just the money. Dad's cancer diagnosis. Pre-trial. He needed me free to handle it. You were the sacrifice we all agreed on. Cancer. The word detonated. Retrofitting every memory. Mom's distant stares. Dad's Scotch habit, symptoms. Not sins. I'd borne the fall for a dying man's dream? Or was it another lie? Ethan's parting shot to fracture my peace? Debated in the dark. Reader. Hero or villain? Victim or vigilante? I burned the letter. Ashes scattering on the wind. In America's endless drama, endings are just intermissions. And mine? Open. Aching.
Alive.
Alive. But not unscathed. The cancer reveal, if true, rewired my grudge like a virus in code. glitches popping in quiet moments. Was Ethan's letter gospel or gaslight? I'd hacked his prison comms via a sympathetic guard, perks of notoriety. But the logs were clean. No follow-ups. No confessions. Just silence. The heaviest payload. Mom dodged questions at our reconciliation coffees. Her smiles tighter than a subpoena. Water under the bridge.
Darling, she'd say.
Stirring sugar she never used. Dad? Buried in depositions. The firm's autopsy dragging on like a bad divorce. I threw myself into Vanguard, rebranding it Hale 2.0, Sustainable Consulting, sniffing out corporate cancers before they metastasized. Clients trickled in, startups scared of scandals, NGOs with grudges. Bushwick suited the grind, graffiti-splashed streets mirroring my mood, neighbors nodding like they knew the score. But sleep evaded, chased by what-ifs. What if I'd known about Dad's diagnosis? Would I still have confessed? Or was that the ultimate betrayal, sacrificing a daughter for a son's spotlight? Even as the Reaper knocked, Ethan's trial loomed, a spectacle slated for federal court in Foley Square. I testified as the star witness, not for catharsis, but calculus. Nailing him sealed my exoneration. The courtroom buzzed. Sketches circulating on TikTok, me in power suit, him in jumpsuit. A modern Last Supper. Prosecutors paraded the evidence, ledgers I'd preserved like holy relics. The Vegas tape narrated by cartel experts. MS. Hale, the ADA prompted. All earnest ivy polish. Walk us through the basement confession. I did. Voice level. Painting Ethan not as monster, but man flawed, fearful, familial. His defense pivoted hard. My client was coerced by a vengeful sibling. Post-prison radicalized. Radicalized. The term irked. Evoking manifestos. Not mimosa-fueled vendettas. They subpoenaed my therapy records, violating every ethic, but the judge quashed it, citing irrelevance. Then Ethan took the stand, a ghost of his former swagger, hands cuffed beneath the rail. Madison always resented me, he said, eyes locking mine across the well. The fall? She volunteered.
Yes.
But twisted it into martyrdom when we didn't bow. The gallery gasped, Mom whimpered softly. I held his gaze, searching for the boy who'd shared forts and secrets, not the schemer who'd sold me out twice. Resentment. I countered on redirect, the mic hot in my palm. Or reciprocity. You begged.
Ethan.
I gave. You took the crown, I took the cell. Jurors nodded. The split evident. Women leaning forward. Men shifting uncomfortably. No black and white, just the messy American truth of conditional love. Closing arguments cleaved the room. Prosecution thundering on accountability. Defense weeping for second chances. The verdict deliberated 2 days, eternity in limbo. Then, guilty on all counts. 15 years. No parole. Ethan didn't look at me as they led him away, but his shoulders slumped. Defeat's quiet admission. Outside. Rain lashed the plaza. Protesters chanting mixed messages. Cheers for justice. Jeers for the snitch sister. I slipped into a cab, soaked and spent, the weight lifting like fog off the East River. But closure's a myth. Post-trial. Dad proposed partnership. Official. 50/50ths on the restructured firm. Partners, he said over steaks at Peter Luger. The old haunt sans the bill drama. Equals. Equals. The word dangled redemption. But I tasted the subtext. Control. His hand steering still. Mom hovered. peacemaker in pearls. Think of the legacy. Madison. Redeemed. Redeemed. By whose metric? I countered with terms. Transparency audits. Board seats for ex-cons. My name first, hail and hail. He balked. Then conceded. A nod sealing the pact. The press devoured it. Prodigal daughter saves dynasty. Clickbait heaven. But the undercurrent churned, op-eds questioning if I'd sold out. Trading vengeance for venture capital. Sleepless again. I dug deeper on the cancer claim. Medical records. Subpoenaed via Vanguard's legal muscle. Confirmed. Stage 3. Diagnosed pre-trial. Treated quietly at Sloan Kettering. Mom's evasions? Covering the chemo fog that blurred her maternal instincts. Ethan's agreement. A family huddle I'd been excluded from. The spare deemed expendable. The revelation hit like a server crash, system overload. I'd borne not just theft, but a terminal lie, sacrificed for a father's fight. Rage flared anew, but muted.
Tempered by time.
I confronted them at the brownstone, unannounced. The study now a war room of file boxes. You let me rot while he hid your chemo? Dad wilted into his chair. Mom's hand on his shoulder. We thought. It was mercy. Quick hit. Then you'd be back. Mercy. The delusion of the dying. Projecting empires onto offspring. I paced. Ghosts of arguments past whispering. And when I didn't, when 5 years became my sentence, Mom's tears flowed free. Guilt ate us. But pride. We couldn't admit.
Pride.
The Hail Gospel. Undone. Ethan, from his cell, had known his letter a final flip. Not malice, but mirror. See yourself in me. The symmetry stung, forcing a reckoning. Were we all pawns in Dad's chess game? Or architects of our chains? Decision time. Controversial as a ballot box. I could walk, torch the firm, vanish to some off-grid cabin in Montana, write the tell-all.
Or stay.
Gut the beast from within. Make it a force for reckoning. The split mirrored the nations, progressives urging burn it down, traditionalists preaching preserve. I chose hybrid partner, but with kill switches, ethics clauses, whistleblower funds. Dad agreed, eyes wet. Proud of you, kid. First time. Last? Months blurred, board meetings in glass towers. Late nights coding compliance bots. Mom softened, sharing recipes over wine. Your grandmother's meatloaf.
Mads.
For normal. Normal. A fragile bloom. Ethan's appeals dragged, but letters arrived. Hate me, but thank you. For the push.
Push.
Toward what? Reform or ruin? Vanguard thrived. Me a reluctant icon. Keynotes on toxic ties, breaking family cycles. Then the gut punch. Dad's scan clear. Remission. A gift wrapped in survivor's guilt. We celebrated quietly. Takeout in the study. Laughter tentative as new code. But as confetti settled, a call from Lena. Brother's appeal? New evidence. Your old prison hack. Ties to dark web. They're saying you orchestrated from inside. Orchestrated. The twist looping back. Ethan's ghost flipping the board. Paranoia spiked. Had he planted seeds in our shared visits? Or was it blowback from my own shadows? The city felt smaller. Allies suspect. Mom's face paled over the news. Fight it. Madison. We're in this.
We.
For once. not a chain,
but a raft.
I hired the best, the fixer from Albany, now governor, and countersued, exposing the appeal as fabrication. Courtroom redux, but this time, I led the charge. No cuffs. Verdict, appeal denied. Ethan's bid crushed. But the cost? Scars reopened. Trust frayed. In the aftermath, Dad pulled me aside. The cancer. It changed nothing. And everything. You were always the strongest. Strongest. Not smartest. Not favorite, just steel. I nodded, the weight shifting from burden to badge. Yet the debate indoors. Did I win? Or just trade one cage for another? Ethan's cell for my corner office. Betrayals echo in every deal. Reader, you pick the side, vindication or vendetta eternal. In America's tense tableau, heroes are illusions, and revenge, it's the plot that never resolves. Illusions. The word haunted as autumn leaves choked the brownstone's gutters. A metaphor too on the nose for comfort. Vanguard, sorry. Hail and hail. Hit stride. Blue-chip clients lining up for our integrity audits. Buzzword for my paranoia-fueled firewalls. Media cooled, from front-page fury to podcast fodder. My saga dissected by true crime bros and therapy TikTokers. Is Madison Hale a survivor or a sociopath? One host pondered. My frozen smile on screen. Sociopath. Close enough. I'd engineered enough twists to populate a Scorsese flick. Ethan's silence stretched, broken only by holiday cards, stock photos of Riker's art therapy. Thinking of you. Mads. Thinking. As if he pondered my chains while plotting his next move. Mom hosted Thanksgiving. A tense tableau, turkey dry as grudges. Dad carving with unsteady hands. To new beginnings, he toasted, glass trembling. I clinked, but the champagne soured on my tongue. New beginnings in the house of old sins. Tiffany, Ethan's ex, even showed, supporting the family, she cooed. All yoga glow and veiled barbs. Ethan says hi.
Says.
From his concrete confessional. Post-feast, I slipped to the basement. The ledger ghost's lair. Dust motes danced in the bulb's glow. Shelves sagging with forgotten files. There, tucked behind tax returns, a lockbox brass, etched with Dad's initials. Curiosity. That old cat killer. Pried it open. Letters. Yellowed. A vial of pills. Unlabeled. And a journal. Mom's script looping like vines. I read by flashlight app. Heart hammering. Entries from the trial era. John's diagnosis shattered us. Ethan's mess, timing cruel. Madison offered. Strong girl. We'll make it right. Offered. Again. The volunteer myth. Deeper. Guilt consumes. Sent checks. But pride seals lips. Ethan's resentment festers. He blames her for his shadows. Blames her.
Me.
The revelation forked. Ethan's flips weren't just survival, they were projection. My sacrifice, a scapegoat for his shame. And the pills? Opioids. Dated pre-diagnosis, Dad's stress management, a gateway to the scotch. The family alchemy, pain transmuted to poison, doled to the dutiful daughter. I confronted Mom at dawn. Journal thrust like evidence. Kitchen island. Coffee brewing. Her face crumpling as pages flipped. You read. Not question. Accusation. Why hide it? The full story. She sank onto a stool. Robe slipping like defenses. Protection. From the mess. John wanted legacy clean, Ethan. He spiraled harder knowing. Spiraled. Echo of their dinner jabs at me. And I was the mess to contain? Her eyes met mine. Raw for once.
No.
You were the light we dimmed.
Light.
The word unlocked tears. Hers. Mine, a deluge washing years. We talked then. Really, the chemo nights she'd paced alone. Ethan's relapses into coke. Dad's denial-fueled rages. We failed you, she whispered. All of us. Failed. The verdict I'd craved,
But hollow now.
Forgiveness?
Not yet.
Understanding? A start. Dad joined, summoned by sobs. The trio huddled like war refugees. Burn it, he said of the journal. Voice gravel. Or keep it. Your call. My call. Agency. Finally unyoked. I kept it. Digitized for the archives. Transparency's talisman. The firm? I pushed reforms, mental health stipends, sibling mediation clauses in partnerships. Laughable on paper, but rooted in rot-turned-rich soil. Ethan's next letter arrived Yuletide. Postmarked holiday fare. Mads, therapy here's a joke. But truth surface. The cancer? Dad's call.
Yeah.
But I pushed it. Thought you'd forgive faster than me.
Pushed.
The admission cracked his armor. Vulnerability seeping. Hate me. Deserve it. But if you visit. Maybe parole hearing prep? Visit. The request dangled. Controversial as a plea deal.
Go.
And risk reopening wounds. Skip. And cement the rift. I went. Riker's visiting hall. Buzzers and stares. Ethan across the divide in state greens. Thinner. Eyes haunted. The golden boy tarnished. Thanks, he muttered. Palms flat on formica. Didn't think you'd come.
Didn't.
Expectations ghost. We talked halting, prison hacks, literal.
Not my style.
His art, surprisingly sharp cartoons skewering suits. Then the meet. I flipped on you at the arrest. Paranoia. Thought you'd end me.
End.
Hyperbole. But close, my uploads could have buried him deeper. Why tell now? I asked. Voice neutral. He shrugged. Chains clinking. Rock bottom. Therapy drudge.
But.
You're right. Reciprocity. Reciprocity. My word. Thrown back. No, apology gush. Just the nod. Help with the hearing? Character refs. Character. The irony curled my lip. Maybe. If you write the real confession. Public. His flinch was visceral. But he nodded.
Deal.
The hearing months later was low drama. Parole board. Fluorescent hell. Ethan in tie smuggled from commissary. I testified. He's flawed. Like us. But capable of change. Capable. Qualified grace. Debatable as mercy kills. Board denied too soon. Too fresh, but commuted time slightly. Good behavior bait. He wrote after. Oh, you. Again.
Oh.
A ledger balanced. Tentatively. Spring bloomed. Cherry petals papering Madison Square Park as I ran. Monitor long gone. Lungs burning clean. The firm stabilized. Vanguard a subsidiary. Me CEO in name and nerve. Mom and I weekend hiked the Palisades. Silences companionable. Dad mentored interns. His growl softened.
Ethan?
Letters regular. Cartoons enclosed, jabs at my suit life, affection in ink. But the final twist slithered in summer, a knock at the brownstone. Courier with sealed envelope.
Inside.
A check 6 figures. Restitution from Ethan's frozen assets. Clawed back by feds. Note attached. His hand. For the 5 years. And the light you carried.
Light.
Echo of Mom's words. I cashed it. Funneled to prison reform. Cycles broken. Not just mine. Ending? No tidy bow. America doesn't do those. We're all acts in progress. Controversial to the core. I sit now. Bourbon neat. Dad's vice. My moderation. Watching skyline pulse. Betrayed?
Once.
Avenged?
Thoroughly.
Redeemed? That's the debate. Reader, your forum. Your verdict. As for Madison Hale, I choose the gray. Tense. Alive with possibility. The debt? Paid in full.
Or is it?
Turn the page in your mind. What would you do?